All right, guys, today is the day. We have a new engine. We have a new transmission. The car is up on jack stands. I've got some help here. It's time to put the engine and trans back in the car. But first, we're going to review kind of what we changed and what's different, what's new, where we upgraded things, why we upgraded things, and how much better this is going to be in every which way possible. I'm so stoked. Let's get to it. Brother. Let's go! The new engine and transmission. What did we change? Well, here she is. This is a 6-liter LS iron block. This one in particular would have come out of like a 2010 to maybe a 2018 or so Escalade or Tahoe, something like that. But the iron block, why did we go iron block versus another aluminum block? Well, when adding what we added to the back half of this engine right here, this transmission, this is a Samsonis Motorsports 6-speed sequential transmission. The load that these gearboxes can put on an engine block under flat foot shifting and things like that can really wear things pretty badly. And the aluminum blocks aren't strengthened as much from the factory as the iron blocks are. So under load, when you flat foot shift, a lot of that force gets shot through the engine block itself where it's bolted to here on the back. So the core and like the main webbing itself on the iron blocks is a lot stronger. So that's why we went with that. But we also, a lot of you guys might have already noticed, have gone with a dry sump system here. This is a Daily Engineering dry sump system. This is going to solve a lot of our problems. You know, a lot of the oil pressure loss that we're facing in corners. This is gonna pull oil from a tank that's mounted in the car, so that way we're never starved of oil ever again. We got to keep these nice forged internals lubricated properly at all times. That is the most important thing in a race engine. So we did forged crank, forged pistons, forged rods, maul bearings. What else did we do? We did a lot of stuff, and these are the same heads that actually were pulled off of the engine that blew up. We were able to save them. We had to do a valve job and put new guides and things like that in them, but they have been now CNC ported and polished, so we're going to gain some power there as well. But a lot of the other things like the intake manifold, all of the drivetrain accessories on the front of the engine are all going to be the same, minus the dry sump on the bottom. So going to solve a lot of problems there, and I'm really excited to see how much oil pressure, like everything looks different on all of the data that we can pull from track days and stuff like that. It's gonna be awesome. We've added a lot of sensors, which we'll go more in depth with later, but big differences, dry sump system, 6-speed sequential gearbox on the back of this thing. It's gonna be nuts. This is my go-to, extra hands right here. He knows what he's doing. I can trust him. I don't have to babysit or do anything like that. We've got to pull the intake manifold off because where the engine and trans need to be picked up from is from the back of the heads here. So this is already loose. I got to pull that off. I got to pull one line loose here. And then I've got to swap the engine mounts from the blown engine over there on the stand to the engine right here. So once this little rolly thing here comes off, that's how it sits in the car. So we got to kind of put those on there, you know? So that's what we have to do here. And there was one other thing we had to do.
Knock sensors?
Knock sensors. We got to put knock sensors in. See, this is why we have E-stacks here, you know? Knock sensors bolt inside of the block right here. I've got some wiring extensions that are coming around to plug into those. And we'll do that before it goes into. And yeah, this thing, luckily, you know, we have a removable radiator support in the car. You know, that was part of the reason we did that, to be able to pull the engine straight out the front and put it straight in without having to go at any sort of crazy angle. So this should be pretty straightforward, pretty simple, as long as all the measurements I took and all of the double checking I did for the pan down here itself clears the cross member, because I've already trimmed for that. So we should be good to go there. Let's see how it goes. So with all of that stuff being said, you know, I don't want to bore you guys with all the info. We can dive into more of that stuff later, but we have an engine, we have a transmission. I've been waiting months for this. Since we painted the car, it's now time to put everything back in and start finalizing all of the oil lines, all of the coolant hoses, because we've changed a few things in the coolant system. And then we've got to add some wiring for some sensors, which we're going to have our buddy Doug come by and we're gonna do a little bit of an in-depth video on that as well. So the time has come, let's put this thing in the car. That is a new thing we've added. This is a steam port, like recirculating kit basically. This goes to your steam ports on your cylinder heads, and then we'll have an extra port coming over to measure with this sensor, which will be water pressure, and then one more tiny little line going to the top of the water pump inlet for, what is that one gonna be for? Oh, just to recirculate the coolant system, duh. We didn't have that before. That was also probably another slight issue that we probably could have avoided, but we're doing it right this time, and I've learned from my mistakes. So, shout out to Jason with NASA for pointing that out at the Roebling track day before the engine blew up. He had some LS experience before in the past, and he knew what he was talking about. I mentioned kind of in the intro clip here, if you want to zoom in here, Dalton, here is our nicely fresh CNC ported heads. Those would be our intake runners there. Man, makes a big difference for airflow right there. No airflow drag at all. Adding some horsepower. That's the other thing. This engine, how much horsepower do we add? Roughly 150 horsepower than before, more than before. So she's gonna be rowdy. Pull some tension up on that. Act like you're the engine hoist there, bud. Let's see if we're gonna hit anything. Look clear to me. I might just run them tight, but I don't want them to bottom out. You know,
That's probably plenty.
probably fine right there. Cool. This one could go in the further. All right. Pull the engine mounts off that block over there. There's only 3 on there. Look at that. That makes it easier. That needs a quick wipe down. It's covered in oil. So the problem we're gonna face here,
Maybe.
yeah. So you can see there's a bolt hole for the engine mount, that one in particular, that we now have to figure out a solution for. This pump, whoops, will not allow for a bolt this long. I don't think. Oh man. Oh man. Oh, it's so close. We might have to cut this guy ever so slightly and see. Well, it might work because this isn't even lined up exactly. So that's going to be the problem we face with the passenger side is it'll clear the engine mount, but don't know if the hardware will start or not. So let's find out. Just so we're kind of at least facing the right way a little bit, you know, before we do this. Is it off the back wheel yet?
Yep.
It is?
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. Yep, just barely is all we need.
Yep.
Perfect. We want to be nice and balanced. So. Okay, you support the engine for a moment.
Yep.
Let me go see what I got in the bolt bin. It's gonna be like an M10 coarse thread, and of course I'm not gonna have one of those. Nope. Gonna be digging for a minute. Okay, so an Allen could work. No. Come on, give me a longer version. Brother, let's go! I think that's the one. I think that might, let's see if this works. It's a lot narrower. It's the exact same length. All right, where's the washer to that bolt, Evan? Oh, I don't like that. washer. It's the washer. I think we're going.
Push it up on.
Wow, it is barely clearing. Keep it just like that. Holy smokes, no way. It might be just barely touching that, but it's gonna work. We in there like swimwear, baby. Let's go. Something went right.
Yep, that wasn't too
Yay.
bad.
Perks of having a previous crew chief, father-in-law. This guy will allow you to get to it at a little bit of an angle. We're gonna be real gentle and make sure nothing rounds out, because if it does round out, then you gotta take the pump off to even get to it. So don't wanna do that, but we're gonna grab a ratchet and do it by hand. See how it feels. But I think we're gonna be okay. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Plenty.
Yep, that's she in there. Should be good. And it barely like rubbed the back of the pump putting it in, but it went in finger tight, you know? So.
Perfect.
Yeah. And then I used your little ball head Allen.
Ball head down here.
Yep.
Perfect.
We're in there.
That's the bet for it.
Well, I don't know if it was meant for it, but we made it work.
Looks good.
Okay. It's time. Now it's time. How many times are we gonna say that? Can we get an it's time counter on the screen? Is that too much work for you? Okay. We're not scratching anything in this engine bay, okay? We got too many hours in this thing to scratch her up. All right, here's the plan. We gotta get it in there, and then I'll angle it back to where the transmission's backwards, obviously. Then we gotta catch it on the jack in the back to be able to then bring it back kind of level, and then we'll line up our
mounts in.
Yep, we'll line them up. Go ahead and pull that nut off that side. I can't believe that other mount went on. Check this out, Dalton. Get a little zoom action right here. K&M engines, number 310. Pretty cool. Here we go. Pivot this guy a little bit.
Be good.
Start lowering it down some. This, just hold it tight because this thing, watch your fingers.
Too close.
Okay. Make you nervous? As long as you keep feeding her in, if it touches the transmission tunnel, I'm not as much worried. It's more so just the engine bay stuff. You ready? Coming down some? I'm watching the bottom.
Looks like it.
Good?
Yep.
I come back some more now. Ready? Yep, just like that. Push back, push back.
Yep, we're about to hit that.
A little more. Okay.
Where you at on that side?
Huh? We gotta
Or is
come
that
back
the
some.
only line that's
That's the only one.
in the way?
Yeah. So rock it just a hair. Just watch your fingers. Hold on.
I think we're sitting on something.
We are. We are on. I see it. Yep. We gotta come up a hair. Just hold it tight. What does that do for us?
Oh, it's helping.
Okay.
Let's show these mounts.
Well, I don't know. It looks like the driver's side of the engine is lower for some reason than the passenger side is.
It definitely is.
And is that helping?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah. We're almost there. There you go.
Sound good.
Yep. Driver's side's in.
Okay. Now we just gotta guide this side in.
Oh, good.
Good. Let me go up a hair.
We're almost there.
There it is. Okay, hold it, pull that way.
Keep coming down.
Yep, I'm going to. Just keep pinching on it.
All right, we're supposed to be. I can see the marks too.
Yeah, we want to be on those same marks.
About right.
We're
That's
about
close. Right. Yep.
All right, just a little.
Not too bad.
One little hang up. Steering rack and the usual things.
Run a bolt.
Let's go. Yeah, a little angle iron bracket with a double shear mount on it. Here's our shifter, which we haven't shot yet. I don't know if you can see that or not, but I have to make a linkage. I know it's dark up in here, so bear with me. I have to make a linkage that connects from this heim joint to this heim joint up here. And then that linkage upshifts and downshifts the transmission. Still needs to be greased a little bit, but you get the point. Let's go. This little cable runs up into the car. So you trigger your reverse and your neutral switch. Well, not switch, but neutral and reverse gear. But yeah, they include a little bracket. So we'll make a little double shear bracket right here. That's something that bolsters the trans on both sides, and piece of cake. Piece of cake. We'll have that done in a day. Let's go. How did we not hit anything? This thing's way too nice to be a race car, but you know what? That's why you build it to your own liking, right?
Yeah.
Let's back up a little bit. Blown up engine right here, right? The one I just dropped all these bolts into, which it doesn't matter because it's blown up. This doesn't matter because it's blown up. This engine, you can see right here. When I was working with Daily Engineering, asking them about clearances and things like that, if you come over here and look, Dalton, this block has a 3D printed prototype oil pan that I bolted to it to check for clearance to the actual billet version, which is on the car, because I didn't want to be trying to put in this nice new engine with a billet oil pan on the bottom of it, or I guess a baffle, and scratch it all to crap, you know. The steering rack bolt on the front mount of the steering rack for the bushing was sticking up pretty proud, and it would have been into that oil pan pretty badly. So I went ahead and cut that, so it's already faced and square, and we've got a 1/4 inch of clearance from the pan to the bolt itself, or to where I cut it to. So nailed it. And I did all of this mock-up stuff by working with Daily Engineering, so shout out to them. They got me all these 3D printed files. Obviously they're solid and proprietary, right? Like you can't see the insides because it's all of their design. But for them to be able to send you this and you can print it yourself and mock everything up without having to have the whole thing in hand while you wait, 4 to 6 weeks for it. Pretty cool of them to do that. So I really appreciate it. So if you look right there, right here where my finger is, we've got an 1/8 inch worth of clearance right there.
You also can get it from over here.
Yeah. Okay, what is next? We got to actually put the nuts on the engine mounts. It's kind of important. So we got to do that. We got to, before I do any of like the transmission mount work, I have to measure the setback angle of the engine, because you don't want an engine pitched forward, you want it pitched back, right? That's for a few different things. That's for drive shaft angle. You don't want any sort of driveline vibration. So we're gonna set it back about 3 or 4 degrees or so, which I think is Siki Manufacturing's standard for these engine mounts. Whenever I pulled the old engine and transmission mount out, the one I blew up, I went ahead and took a measurement just to make sure that we put it back kind of exactly where it was, because I didn't ever have any sort of driveline vibration. So yeah, that's next. Just put the hardware on, but as far as like getting the engine in, that took like 17 minutes. That's why you don't, I say that loosely. If you can fabricate your own bolt-in radiator support, do it. It's worth it. Made my life a lot easier just then. It's about time something went smooth with this thing. It's about time. I think I was due. The car gods are on my side tonight. Our side, I should say. crazy how much more room, like with this oil pan that I have. It's nuts. Long time coming. This car, you know what's gonna happen now? We're gonna be flashed back into this scene one day. This thing makes so much power now. I'm just mark my words. This thing, I'm gonna have to be putting built axles in the back of this thing now.
Yeah.
I think that's my weak point is the CV axles. So let's see how long they last. I have faith in them for a little bit longer. These are the OEM CV axles still in the rear end of this thing, and an OEM viscous LSD from a 300ZX. So we're gonna be beating on it a little bit. We'll see how it holds up. All right, what's next? Check yourself, Ryan. So pumped. I'm already like, now I'm just like in the zone. I just want to make the transmission mounts and just do everything. Man, can't believe it. Like it's kind of scary how well it fits, honestly. Oh yeah, it's got a 1/4 inch of clearance every direction. How's the bell housing? Oh yeah, look at the bell housing clearance we've got now. Holy cow. Yeah, so before, can you see me? A little under car shot here. Before we had a factory GM T56 transmission that had the aluminum bell housing on it. We've since upgraded to a QuickTime low profile T56 style bell housing. It's steel, so it's a lot safer. It's not the SFI rated one, because the SFI rated one weighs a ton and it's gigantic. So for LS swap cars, this bell housing is a lot more beneficial as far as like a space perspective goes. And we've got way more space to the firewall and stuff now than we had before, which is gonna be nice for sliding the headers and stuff in and getting the starter installed, just getting your arms up into places where we wouldn't be able to before. That kind of went together really well. I guess I can start laying out the, let's swap that coil pack, swap that coil pack back around.
Yeah.
Because that is not in the right place. And then, so we'll do that. That's a quick and easy fix. Pop that guy off. We can put my intake manifold back on. So all of my wiring, if you look, comes right through the firewall we made right here through this grommet. I installed this grommet the night before last, and it's rubber, so you can't catch any sort of hard edges on the wiring. So everything's nice and protected. But I was able to utilize the factory locations for oil pressure, and was able to add a water pressure sensor up here. So everything looks like it's still gonna fit just like it did. I'm pretty sure this is oil pressure actually right here. Yeah, that's the oil pressure, so. I'm gonna truth, will that plug in? Over here somewhere. That is the new CMP, cam position sensor. That goes all the way. So on a Gen 3 engine, the cam position sensor is back here. On a Gen 4 LS engine, it's on the front. So now I have to figure out how to like route that. I'll probably go right there above the engine mount area, or do they go below? I'll have to look that part up, but I can save that one for last. Come up here behind the alternator and then plug it in. But that is from Jolt Systems. So Jolt Systems makes adapter harnesses for Gen 3 ECUs, like a Terminator X like I have, to Gen 4 ECUs. So you have to run different knock sensors, which is what this is an extension harness for. And the cam position sensor extension is right here. So they just basically make a jumper that goes to everything. You could probably make it yourself, pretty inexpensive, but this is so fairly priced, it doesn't make sense to not just go ahead and buy it from them. These, while you grab that Allen, I'm gonna talk about these. Hold those real fast.
Where your Allen's at?
They're right there in that tray. So these coil packs, a lot of you may recognize these. These are just a GM style coil pack. And the reason they look different is because these have a potted connector. So the standard GM connector is like one of those weather pack style connectors that go into these things. Well, the Deutsch connectors are much more reliable, much easier to repin or take things apart if you had to service anything. And it's just with the heat shrink and stuff on it, you know, this is all Raychem, like race car material stuff. It's just better for heat and things like that. It won't melt the seals in the coil packs if it gets too hot, all that stuff. These were actually, if any of you are familiar with like the ARCA series, these were off an ARCA race car. And Evan, what do we do with coil pack bolts?
Really tighten them down.
This man made a few sessions at Summit Point back in September, and we pulled back into the pits, and I think like 5 of your 8 coil packs were like missing hardware.
I know they were tight, but they were
Race car, man.
they're moving.
Vibration, you know.
Something to check.
Vibration, you gotta stay on top of them. BP pro tip. This is your oil pump, and this belt pops off just like that. That is how it is intended to work. It's supposed to have that little bit of play there, so you can do that. So since this is now a dry sump system, the way you prime the engine, you know, build oil pressure, is you take a drill, not an impact, a drill, and you spin this pump. And the forces of this pump will then feed the oil, pressurize the engine, and circulate it through from the tank all the way through, just to complete the entire circuit. So that's how we will pump warm or hot oil from our preheated oil tank, because we're gonna have a heater to heat up all of that oil before we send it through the engine. That's how you pump it through it. Yeah, I gotta set the radiator in here. So another thing we did, Dalton, you can come over here. We have now switched from standard radiator hoses to AN fittings for radiator hoses. So we're gonna use some Brown & Miller hoses, just kind of like what all the fuel lines and stuff are on the car. And Evan, if you grab that little water pump and snout right there behind my water bottle. Nope, the other one, yep.
This thing?
Yep, so that,
Oh, yeah.
it's got tape on the end of it because I had it bolted on, but
You want it off?
yeah, you can take it off. I went to a billet housing for the water pump inlet, outlet, whatever one that is, and we're deleting our thermostat. So that is a thermostat delete from K-Tech, right there, that black plunger looking piece. The reason you have to run one of these, I might not get this right, but I'm gonna try my best. This is like a restrictor, and if you don't run any sort of thermostat at all, you'll get pockets, like water, like bubbles and pockets, and through all through your cooling system in your engine. And you don't want pockets. Pockets are horrible. They leave hot spots, and you can really damage your engine. This restricts the water flow to a normal flow for, I guess, what the engine demands, but also opens it enough to where it will flow freely without a thermostat. But let's find out. We're just gonna zero it off the car here. Pretty close, not bad. Okay, but the transmission is low right now. Let's see what it goes up to when I push on it. What does that say?
I'm seeing 3.8.
That'll work.
At points.
Okay, that's fine.
3.5 too.
It's pretty heavy, so. It was what?
I think I saw 3.5 in there too.
Nice, that'll work. It's close enough. As long as it matches the pinion flange on the differential, we're good. That's a wrap for tonight. Quick engine and transmission install after work. Thanks to the boys for coming over to lend a hand. That actually went really smoothly, surprisingly. Still gonna get home and be able to eat dinner. Maybe a little bit late, but we still have a lot of work to do, but this was a huge step in the right direction. And now we're on to making lines, making some radiator hoses, and wiring up a few things here and there. But for now, we're going the right direction. Stay tuned for the next one. See you later. My Wiggins!
It's pretty good.
That is pretty good. Right in the Wiggins. Isn't that crazy? Race car stuff. Wiggins.